All right, so the next piece of literature we're dealing with is the Canterbury Tales. We read this for a couple of reasons. First, it is by Geoffrey Chaucer, who is sort of known as the father of English lit. Basically, up until Chaucer's time, all the respectable literature, the highbrow stuff was all done in French or Latin. Like those were the languages that you could write and have your stuff be, appreciated and respected. English was just sort of the language of the common folk. Nobody took it seriously, and they didn't really think that you could make fine art out of English. And Chaucer says, forget that, I'm doing it. And sort of he elevated English to that same status as French and Latin, and basically kicked the door down for Shakespeare and anyone else in the canon of English lit who's going to follow. So that's one of the reasons we read it, simply because it had such a huge impact on the course of English literature. We also read it for sort of the content itself of the tale. I gave you guys a handout via Google Classroom, just some basic background stuff. You can skim over it, read it as you like. There are two things, though, that you really need to take away from it. First, the Catholic Church was the center of everything in medieval Europe. So as you're reading these excerpts from the Canterbury Tales, just keep that in mind, that everything in life for these people was revolving around the church. Second thing you need to take away from this is the concept of a frame story, which is basically a larger story that within it contains smaller stories. If you think, for example, of the Simpsons Halloween episodes, the Treehouse of Horror, if any of you guys have seen any of those, so you got the frame story, right? The big story is the Simpsons go out and trick or treat, and then they eat too much candy and have nightmares. So that's the frame, right? Too much candy leads to nightmares. Then you get the individual stories, which would be Bart's nightmare, and Lisa's nightmare, and Homer's nightmare. So the frame is, Simpsons have nightmares, and then the individual tales are each of the different characters' nightmares. Canterbury Tales is the same thing. All right, the frame story for this one, the big story, is you've got this religious pilgrimage from London to the shrine of Sir Thomas of Becket in Canterbury. Basically, this religious pilgrimage. And that brings together all these different people who normally wouldn't hang out together. There's a pirate and a doctor and this high-class diva, some nuns, some monks, a whole bunch of different folks, all brought together for this pilgrimage. And then they travel. Then it's a storytelling contest. So each character is supposed to tell two stories on the way out and then two stories on the way back. And at that point, those individual tales are the Canterbury Tales. So the frame, religious pilgrims get together to go on a journey, and then the individual tales are what each character is telling along the way. So Wife of Bath's tale, Partner's tale, Knight's tale, Miller's tale, etc., etc. So that's a frame story. Let's see. The prologue, also significant because it shows us this cross-section of medieval life. And when you're bringing in all these different people who normally wouldn't hang out together, you don't just get to see how sort of what the upper class folks are like or what the low class folks are like. Here you get everybody. So that's another one of the reasons why we're reading the Canterbury Tales. It's this sort of snapshot of medieval life, and they get to see everybody and what they might have been like at the time. We start with the general prologue, which, as I said, sets up that frame story, and it also introduces us to each one of the individual pilgrims. Our focus is going to be on the Pardoner and the Wife of Bath. In a nutshell, the Pardoner is a con man. He's basically in it just to get paid. He's basically just exploiting these people he's on the road with. And then we get the Wife of Bath. She has been married, I want to say 6 or 7 times before, and is potentially cruising for another husband on this journey. And so she's going to be the expert in love and relationships. And then their individual tales, which we'll get to later after we finish the general prologue, sort of fits, right? In the Canterbury Tales, the character and the tale are very intentionally matched. So the Partner, for example, like I said, he's this con man, total dirtbag. The moral of his tale is don't be greedy, right? Money is the root of all evil, or the love of money is the root of all evil. Wife of Bath, on the other hand, being the expert in relationships, having survived 6 or 7 husbands, hers is all about how to succeed in a relationship, ironically enough, and what a man needs to do to keep a woman happy in a romantic relationship. And the tales, like I said, frame story, it's the storytelling contest. To win, the tales need to be entertaining. So just you're passing the time on a long journey. So should be entertaining, but they also should tell a moral. This lesson on how you should live your best life. So keep that in mind as you're reading Partner's Tale, as you're reading The Wife of Bath's Tale. Look out for what those morals might be. Canterbury Tales can be challenging just because the language, it's translated from Middle English, and sometimes the translation can be a little bit rough. But once you get past the language, the content of the tale is super relatable. Partner's Tale is just these three drunks who find out their friend has died, and then with drunken logic decide, well, he killed our friend, let's hunt down, let's kill death. And it goes from there. The Wife of Bath's Tale, it's about this knight who rapes a woman, just virgin, hanging out by the stream, doing her thing, and then he takes advantage. He's arrested, and he's going to be executed until the queen steps up and says, I'll let you live if you can tell me what it is all women most desire. And then he's got a year to hunt down the answer. So those are those two tales in a nutshell. First thing you're going to look at is I shouldn't say each. You're going to look at one of those two characters, either the partner or the Wife of Bath, and do a deep dive based on what Chaucer gives you in the general prologue, that little blurb. What can you tell about the person? Based on their clothing, the stuff they have, how wealthy might they be, how are they treating others, how do other people respond to them, et cetera, et cetera. Just look at those fine details, just like you did with the homework, with the picture of some random person, making those inferences. You're doing the same thing with either the partner or the Wife of Bath when you get to the general prologue. And then we will deal with the tales themselves, Partner's Tale and Wife of Bath's Tale, in the coming days. But I think that's all you guys need to know to get started on Canterbury Tales. As always, if you have questions, just shoot them out to me. Zoom, I should be doing some sort of Zoom office hours at some point this week. Just look for an email. I'll probably send something out tomorrow, Wednesday, and then get you guys set up for office hours, maybe Thursday or Friday. If you guys have a request in terms of do it this time, let me know. I'll see what I can do. Otherwise, just check Google Classroom, check Loop Mail for the information for that. I think that's all I got for you right now. So take care of yourselves, stay isolated, stay healthy, stay safe, and stay sane. Talk to people, reach out, get exercise, get sun, fresh air. As long as you're keeping your distance, go out and do your thing. Anyway, if you need anything, reach out. Otherwise, take care of yourselves. Later.